We are going to be talking about a community composting project today. My name is Brian Barnes. I'm the EcoReps director. So happy to have you here. If you were in the actual Delphi lab where we're having our meeting, you would find all of this camaraderie and some food on the back table. You should feel free to join us. We're going to be in here until noon. There's a sign on the door in our actual room, Extreme W210, and you just walk a short distance over to the Delphi lab on the same floor. So we're just going to go around and do quick introductions. Again, my name is Brian Barnes. I'm a professor in the philosophy department. I'm also the EcoReps director and the manager of the community composting project, and I don't know, sustainability engagement chair. Anyway, I like to do things. So that's me. I'm glad that you're here watching this video. And now to the next.
Hello, I'm Erin Kurtz.
Are you in the window? Okay, cool.
Yes. I am a first-year grad student in anthropology, and I'm one of the EcoReps interns.
Glad that you're here. Okay, and of course, we're also introducing ourselves to everybody else in the room. Yeah. This computer thing might not be the best way to do that, but anyway, there you go.
I'm a senior geography and sustainability.
Great, glad you're here.
Hey everybody, I'm Justin Vaughn. I'm your sustainability coordinator out of the Provost's office. Been doing this since 2009. Obviously, I love it, even though it's way too much work for one person.
At least you get lunch today.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah. Chelsea, thanks for the bread again today. Appreciate that. Hello, who are you?
Student in sustainability.
All right, good to have you. Hello.
And I'm also a master's student in sustainability.
Glad to have you here.
Hi, I'm Rachel Single. I teach in the art department. I'm grateful for the sustainability program here, Justin and Brian for all they do, and I just want to be supportive.
Thanks, glad you're here. Hello.
My name is Elia Gillum. I'm the program coordinator in TRIO Student Support Services in Student Affairs in Davidson Hall. And I'm also just here to be supportive and
Have some lunch.
happy to be connected.
Yes, thanks for joining us.
Hi, I'm Rose. I'm a sustainability undergrad, and I don't know, I'm going to just echo you guys, here to support and be a part of whatever is happening.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
I'm Scott Campbell, law librarian at the law school.
No support?
No support.
No support. All right, very fine. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bunny Hayes. I'm a first-year PhD student in the humanities.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm a prior support.
Nice.
Intern.
You're still supporting. Hello.
Sungi, I'm fifth year PhD student. They can't get rid of
There
me.
you go. Yeah, thanks for a minute.
But I'm crashing these parties whenever I can.
Good. Glad to have you. All right, very good. Thanks. And there's the food again. Again, please feel free to join us at some point in the future. We're going to get our presentation started on community composting. Dr. Mogg, if you want to do something else. I'm going to pull up a little YouTube video that we have about UofL community composting. I don't know how many people have seen this, maybe only a couple. But I made this little film for, it's time to 2019's ASHE conference, which Justin and I attended with a host of sustainability students. That was a hoot.
Oh yeah, what a hoot! I remember this.
That was definitely a good time. At any rate, let's just get past. I'll turn on the volume as soon as we get past my introduction, which is ASHE specific.
Oh yeah, that was so great. You did the live from the.
Yeah. So at any rate, so this is our site. Maybe I'll just leave the volume on because I know what's going on. So this is our site. This is near the Taco Bell. So if you're familiar with campus, Taco Bell is here. It's sort of right here. Here's the railroad track that runs behind the Taco Bell, right? And so this is Bloom Street. So Manual High School is right here, right? So this is the sort of thing where if you walk past the University Club off campus, you would eventually hit the community composting project. We've been there since 2010. Making compost, we give the compost away to whoever wants it. Our idea initially was to give the compost away to the campus to help campus, mitigate costs or whatever. We were also trying to compost the campus's food waste at that time. And so it seemed like a good way to close the loop. The campus purchases a great deal of compost. I mean, it's more than you would think. And so they already had contracts in place and wanted to keep those going. So we started offering compost to the community. Like whoever wants it, just show up and take some of this compost off our hands. From the beginning, we haven't had really a budget or anything like that. And so it's been really important that we find ways to make the compost without a lot of expense. One of those big expenses we've been able to avoid is big machines, right? The compost is made with human labor. That happens down here on this end. The area where we actually work is covered over. So that's actually sort of the footprint that Avery and I and the others work on. The rest of this lot is a physical plant lot. Up here, when they salt everything on campus, when it freezes, here's where they store all the salt, you know, stuff like that. When they plant new flowers and stuff on campus, they often start them in these greenhouses here. So wood chips from camp, you know, whenever you see wood chips around campus, there's a big pile of brush down here that they bring in a wood chipper the size of a building a few times a year, and they chip up all the wood chips. Right now, if you go over to the site, you'll see just drifts and drifts of them. They're, again, not only for the U of L campus, but also for the community at large. Anybody can come take wood chips. Anybody can come get compost. We have other products out there. We have a worm room here, as it points out. The worm room has our vermicompost in it. Avery is one of our compost interns, and she was kind enough to bring some products here. I'm not gonna pull out the gnarly one yet, but I am gonna at least bring these dudes out. So the red wigglers, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. To me, it's pretty common, but I find that a lot of people don't spend a lot of time handling worms. Is that weird? I don't know. Probably for people in this room, you've seen these guys for sure, right? Yeah, you brought them over here today. Have you seen these? Oh yeah, here we go on the on the camera, right? So the red wiggler, Asenia fetida. Little red worms. They have different color bands on them from brown to red and kind of different hues. Right? They don't have any mouths, they don't have any teeth, they don't have any pinchers or legs or anything, right? Just worms. I mean, you're welcome to. The nice thing about these worms is that when the material that we're asking them to eat goes through their gut, it kills a lot of the pathogenic bacteria that we would be concerned about if we were trying to turn food waste into soil, right? That composting process is a bacterial process. And so the worm's gut kills those bacteria so that we can handle the worms and their feces. That's what this whole bucket is that Avery brought. This is all worm turds, right? I've got them on my hand now. A bunch of individual. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's good. It's good. They don't. It's just dirt. I mean, I'm gonna have this available after people finish eating for whatever kinds of examination you'd like. The one that has compost in it's different. If we take the lid off that right now, it'll stink up the whole room. Probably. Oh, did you get a stinky one? Yeah, maybe it's a little more finished to get from the pile. Okay, cool. All right, well, so maybe not too stinky, but nonetheless, it's going to be a lot. There will be odors in there if you were to dig through that pile that you would find conventionally disappointing, right? I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it.
What a lovely way.
Yeah, this here doesn't have really much smell at all, right? And it doesn't have anything in it that'll hurt anybody. So it's just dirt, right? But it's the best dirt that nature produces, right? In those tiny, tiny worm turds. Indistinguishable for the most part from anything else that you would see in the dirt. So that's what we're trying to produce there. If you go to your garden shop, if you go to Home Depot, if you try to order it online, I mean, it all costs money. I mean, that's the thing, right? So what we're trying to do is to provide some opportunities for people to learn how to do this on their own without big machines, right? If they have a little space, they can learn to do this. We also want to provide the opportunity for people to leave their compostables with us, right? And then for some people, all they're really interested in doing is picking up a few gallons of compost. We try to limit it. We used to have people come in. Still happens, of course. This lot is open 24 hours a day. So people come in and they, in the middle of the night, and they'll take all the compost, right? It takes us about 13 weeks to make a pile of compost by hand. And so when that's all we have is that one pile of compost, and many people contacting me on my phone asking for compost, and you come in one morning and the whole thing's gone. That's a real bummer. But nonetheless, it is available right here in this spot, and right in front of the blue spot there, for anybody in the community to come and take compost. And so now we can't do anything about the middle of the night still, you know, but if we're there, we try to limit them to 10 or sometimes 20 gallons of compost. This, and for scale, this is a 5-gallon bucket. So, right. So a couple of those, a few, you know, 4 of those. We have coffee bags from Heine Brothers, who was our partner for 9 years in supporting the program. They just dropped out actually over the summer. They're going to do, I don't know if they're throwing stuff in the landfill now, or if they have another program, exactly, not sure. But they've been providing us with coffee bags, which is a waste product for them. They've been providing us with those for a long time. So we've got hundreds of coffee bags for people to take the compost away, and if that's what they want to do. And then we also use it for other applications. So let me just move ahead with this. That's kind of the base. Soon. So here's another shot. When we started this project, we were able to do it in dumpsters. So I was involved with a project called Breaking New Grounds. I don't know where that, I had a slide for it in here, but I think maybe it'll pop up here, but it'll pop up at some point. But oh yeah, right here, Breaking New Grounds. That was the nonprofit that I got started with in 2005. That Heine Brothers Coffee started. That's Gary Heine up there in the corner. That was his brainchild. And then Mike Mays, the current owner, down there in the other corner. They wanted to do good things with their coffee. You know their product probably. You know their branding, right? They're about fair. You know, all their products are fair trade, so they're giving more money to the farmers in these communities, right? They're trying to help build more communities as opposed to just the commodity coffee that's so often used. So this, these guys got together with me. I was working at a grocery store, and they wanted to get some different kinds of waste to go with their coffee grounds. They didn't think it was working very well, right? And so we started working together on this composting thing, turned into this nonprofit, Breaking New Grounds. And I was working with Breaking New Grounds when I met Justin here, and I was also in the Sustainability Council, and he came and gave a presentation. The university had a bunch of these dumpsters, just in a big pile. And I was thinking, you know, we could do composting on campus the same way we did at Breaking New Grounds, but it's super messy. So maybe we could put all the compost into dumpsters. And that's what we did here. You can see that these have coffee bags on top of them. All of these dumpsters are full of mainly coffee grounds at this point, although some food waste, and of course, a bunch of wood chips as well. There's a documentary on Breaking New Grounds that you can check out that's on the internet, that these are screenshots from, if you care about such a thing. Anyway, composting is 2 kinds of material. I don't know how much everybody in the room knows about it, but it's nitrogen and carbon material. And so the nitrogen material comes from the food waste, like we have here for eating. Whatever we don't have will probably go to the compost, or whatever we don't eat. And then we have carbon waste, buckets of wood chips, for example. It's already there on the site. People combine that together into piles, turn the piles in various ways, usually with pitchforks, right? I mean, that's pretty standard. We also, when we started working with Heine Brothers, we added a new portion to the project. When we were just doing food waste here at the university, I would just put it in my car, like the university would save it. And on the weekend, I would drive over and fill my car up, you know, whatever, 10 times or something with bags of food waste and just take it over and compost it. But once we started working with Heine Brothers, we had to find a way to get the coffee grounds to campus. And so we started working with university vehicles. This vehicle was in the trash, but we got it going again. A local artist painted it. We've got a couple of vehicles like that. We actually have 5 vehicles now that are mainly taken from the trash and refurbished. This is 1 day's worth of coffee grounds that we had packed into that van once upon a time. I think we've gotten a slightly better system going now, and that involves student workers, among other things. So at this point, I'm going to turn this presentation over to Avery, who is currently one of our student workers. I don't know where a good slide is to maybe stop on for you. Maybe that's to have in the background. But you're showing up here to tell us a little bit about your experience. So please.
I'm Avery again, and I started the internship about a year ago for my undergrad degree for the internship credit that we had to have for the degree. And I just kept doing it after I finished that credit because I just liked it. But as he said, it involves taking the coffee grounds and food waste from businesses around the city and driving them to either here at our location, the site that he showed us to.
Step up a little bit
Okay,
so the thing's not on your face.
sorry.
No,
I have worms on my But yeah, and mostly what I did was try to pick up the food waste from around the city and take it back to the site over at UofL or a farm that we partnered with locally. And then the other workers would kind of do the on-site work from there. But I also contribute to washing buckets, turning piles, things like that. That's how I learned a lot from my internship, learning how the process of composting even worked, because I didn't know before I started this. And now I feel like I have a pretty good understanding. So that was like the hands-on work that I learned from. I feel like I even became a better driver because I had to drive this big, like you saw how big the van was. I didn't drive anything that big, so I feel like I can drive a lot better now. And then I also did a research paper through the internship, which is where I also learned a lot about composting and the impacts it has on the environment and how Louisville composts and how our program contributes to that. So if food just goes to a landfill, it releases methane into the atmosphere, which is a greenhouse gas. So if we compost it instead, it doesn't release that. It has a much better impact on the environment. So that's what made me feel a lot better about the work that I was doing. What made me want to continue doing it, because I felt like I had an impact and sustainability in the city. And upon researching other composting programs across the city, I found that we were really like the only one. There was West Rock, but you know, they're industrial. It's not really the same. And so it felt good to work for a company that does that. And then I also was able to analyze the patterns of food waste across the city and like who contributes to it, who is in the program. And I found that there's not a lot of contribution in the West End, which I found interesting. And I was also found that some of the businesses that we partnered with seem to be kind of greenwashing with the composting service. Like we drive out to Best Buy in Shepherdsville and they have these big 32-gallon containers and it's just a little layer of food waste on the bottom. And so it's like, you know, I kind of got to analyze the different processes throughout the city and what these companies' motives were in composting. And if they really cared about it, you could tell. So that was interesting to learn as well. But yeah, I really enjoy it. It's dirty, hot work, but it's fun.
Anybody have a question for Avery?
What made you choose this internship?
Well, I was kind of looking at the internships on campus because I commute from Indiana. So I kind of wanted to just do something on campus while I was over here taking classes. And I found that they were hiring. So I just, you know, Brian, it's like, yeah, start now. Yeah.
Avery, thank you so much. So that is a big part of what we do is to go out and get the compostables, and that's because we need to support the program. So the program doesn't support itself, unfortunately. We don't have a budget from the university or anything like that to sort of pay for folks like Avery's labor. If we need Mechanical repairs, we just have to figure that one out as well. If we need new materials, we've had some burglaries. At our site, it's quite open. And so people come in and take things like, 20 pitchforks, right? Which, it seems ridiculous, but at the same time, it's awfully hard to replace 20 pitchforks when you don't really have a budget for it. So the partners that are out there really help keep this thing going. And one of the things that we've been able to do while we've been working on this project is to create a little company to help us do this. It's probably the best shot here with these red buckets. This is, we have the Louisville Compost Co-op. And so that organization has been able to, it's what's on the compost bin back there. It's been able to step in and fill in a little bit where Heine Brothers was paying some money before to help keep labor going. Then we're trying to do this. And what that company does is to fill a gap. The compost community composting project has been, as Avery pointed out, has been dealing a lot with various kinds of commercial consumers. So we've had a number of restaurants that we've worked with, some businesses that have their own cafeterias, like the one that she mentioned. And so we were trying to find a way to help get more compost to the composting site. This was sort of the brainstorm or whatever, and I guess it was 2017. And the idea was we would offer a subscription service, and the subscriptions would involve anybody in the Louisville community and also in some parts of Southern Indiana having a red bucket, one of these red buckets, right? And putting their compostables in them so that Avery and other folks can drive around when they're picking up other compostables. They can also pick up these red buckets, bring the material back to the site for composting. And so we have this program that's out there now through the Compost Co-op. So what we're making, it's like people have had what they want to eat, I hope. Anyway, but what we're making is compost here. And so there is a little bit of a smell to it. It's got a lot of wood chips and stuff in it. But I'm happy to walk around and kind of show people what we're creating. You can sift the wood chips out. Some people, when they come and get it, they don't want all these wood chips in their plantings, but this is typical of what we make. So if you're wanting any, or if you want to tell people about it, it is this soil material that has a lot of wood chips in it. It is, it varies kind of in its consistency. It's not really smooth. You get clumps in it. Often there's an undigested piece of something. Somehow this little plant got in here, right? So things, this is, again, you can sift this material further, but it's black and it's alive, right? I mean, it's living soil. It's going to continue to decompose, right, for probably a few months because it's got a lot of live bacteria in it. Now we have a second part of our project that we've mentioned, which is the vermiculture part. Oh yeah, this is just a little bit. I'll let this go for a minute. This is just people working out here. This is what a pretty common work day looks like. These are some of the compost piles with the coffee bags on them. Here, people dumping compostables into a pile. You can see we used to have those at our site. Anyway, we have a little bit of a community garden there, a bunch of rescued plants that we put out. We also offer garden space to people. Different folks come by and plant their own stuff. Right now, we have a garden operated by No Middle School. Not quite all of it has burned to a crisp, so I'm not sure if they're still actually operating it or not. But we do have water on site, and they come over and water it. They've been doing that since April. I guess they've been out there. So these are some of our vans. This van was painted by an art class. It has different. We went to a parking lot one day, and the art class painted it for a project. Different murals all over it. And then we use various, and then this is the other one, the one that was painted by the professional artist, where we keep our coffee bags these days. And this, and let's see, we have a variety of containers for different projects. 1400 Willow, which is in Cherokee Triangle, is a condominium community. They're part of our project. We pick up compostables from them every week, and they support UofL. At the other end of the yard, we have our worm area. Let me see. It's probably, yeah, right about here. Let's see. There's Justin's wife. There's Robin Frederick, in case anybody knows her. So this is one iteration of our worm room. We have various containers that we put these critters in order to, well, I really didn't want to have that on the ring one. In order to let them live in there, we feed them the compost. The compost is the stuff that they really want to eat the most. But they'll eat a lot of different things. It's just food waste needs to break down first before they can eat it. So compost is just a natural way to make that happen. And then the vermicompost, again, that's this material with the worms in it. This is given away, to the community. And it's really excellent soil. We haven't had any complaints over the years about the soil. People do come back and they'll complain about various other things, but never about the quality of the soil. So we're really happy that that's been a good thing. But we've got a separate intern that does the vermicomposting, who's a biology graduate, and Kyle's Wilson. And so Kyle's is there every Sunday from noon to 2. That's our volunteer day, Sundays from noon to 2. If anybody wants to come out and get involved, turn some compost, learn about the worms. We need to separate the worms from their poop periodically. That's something that Kyle's does every Sunday on a big table. The worms will live for 10 years, but they're finished with their poop in about 7 weeks. So we want to get them back out of there and get them into new material. And so we do that mainly by hand. And it's very tranquil. You sit down at a table and they don't scream or anything. So it's real easy to do. And Kyle's is quite the conversation. So can I answer any questions about anything at this point about the project? I know there's already a lot of people in the room who know about the project. But good things are happening out there. This is, pretty much what the site looks like now, except we have, it's quite overgrown. I used to have a strict no plants policy in much of the lot. And I've reversed that. And so now I just let everything grow out there and create some really interesting effects. Yes.
So when it's like raw food material.
Yeah.
Like let's say this.
Yeah.
You do something with it first, but then you put it to the worm?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
worms comes in.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you have so here's some people picking through the worms. So if you have, a worm bin at home or something, and you were to put food waste in it, it would need to rot a little bit before the worms did anything with it, because they just can't get it in their face. They don't have it. Well, hummus is going to be a little rich for them, right? They might get it in there, but they're not going to digest it fully. They're probably not going to, certainly something like anything that's, even if it's ground up, I mean, if they ran across it accidentally, I mean, they would certainly suck it in or whatever. But if it was still very unprocessed or undigested, they would avoid it if they just found it in their habitat. So I'm not saying they won't suck it in. I'm saying if they have an option, they will avoid everything until it decomposes.
So what happens to the person? In a while, it's going to develop.
Yeah, we just take it and throw it into this pile here. So this is how it comes, and then it goes into, I don't know, wherever I had the pile before. There we go. So just like that, we make a pile, put the stuff in it, the carbon and the nitrogen blend, they decompose together. That's what the bacteria want to eat, right? It's aerobic bacteria. So it's, we have to turn the pile. That's one of the things we do with volunteers periodically, which is to put oxygen through the pile by flipping it over. We do that in order to promote the right kind of bacteria. And those bacteria want to eat the decomposing nitrogen and carbon waste and mix it in their guts. And so maybe after, I don't know, 30,000 feedings or something, then what you get is something that looks like dirt, right? You get that over a lot of eatings. And we try to get the pile up to about 150 degrees. It's 140 is the mark that we shoot for, but we're usually around 150 with these piles, which is just the height of the bacterial thriving, right? It much hotter than that, and you start to lose a little bit. So we're very fortunate that our process can handle that. And then what you just see on the ground around it, I mean, this is just that, right? This is where she got that, you know, a piece of dirt like this came from a piece of dirt like this. So, and that's, we're going to fold that over essentially and enclose all that food waste. We're going to put some carbon in with it. So some wood chips, right? And then we're going to water the whole thing. And that promotes the bacteria to go to that section. The water will help it kind of run off and decompose. It attracts the bacteria. And then once the bacteria infiltrate the section, the heat from the bacteria is thriving, right? Just their processes of living is what gets the pile up to that high temperature. And then what you have left, any version of this soil product, the worms will eat. In anything that went through this process, they want it. Not always great for growing. There's a little bit of finesse to this. Some soil products don't end up looking quite right, or the mix wasn't quite right. You can get all this stuff to decompose. The worms will eat anything that's been decomposing. So this isn't really, this part could be a lot less formal than it ends up being. But what we want to do is we want to have this as a secondary product that people want to plant in also. So the stuff that doesn't get, maybe 20% of what we make goes to the worms every year. We're going to ramp that up because we want to start selling the vermicompost, which is something we're looking into process, but continue to give the compost away. But right now, about 20-ish% of the compost goes to the worms, and the rest of it goes out the door to the community. So, yeah. But yeah, that's how you do it. You want to, I mean, I certainly see the point of, you know, if it's physically something they could suck in, you know, would they? They will, but they'll also be unwell, right? So when I started doing this, that guy you saw on the slide, Gary Heine earlier, he was the guy who taught me to do this initially, and that was with coffee grounds only. Right, so just straight coffee grounds, which are incredibly high in nitrogen. And so what Gary was finding was it was taking just months and months and months for the worms to eat this little bowl of coffee grounds. And he thought, this can't work, right? It's because he wasn't letting them decompose or anything. It's like right out of the coffee maker, boom, all right, go at it, guys. I mean, that's all the worms had to eat. And so they were having to wait for parts of it to kind of decompose for them to eat more of it, but they were still eating. I mean, they were still hungry. They were shrinking. They were trying to eat it, and they just, you know, it got in their face, but it wasn't good for them. And so it's a decomposition process is really necessary to feed the worms at, you know, the kind of rate that you want, which is, I mean, roughly the worm's size, the worm's weight in food in 24 hours. You know, that kind of, if you want to get to that kind of a very efficient red wiggler standard, what a bunch of things to say. If you really want to get to that, then it takes a first stage process. Anybody else? Anything else? I don't think that's for us. Anybody? Yeah. Justin Mogg, ladies and gentlemen.
So I wanted to share a few things that might, this site is a block away from campus, but unless you go on Sundays at noon, you're probably never going to see all this, which is why we're sharing the video with you. But it actually has a real important impact right here on campus and things you see every day. So I want you to know about that. First of all,
We provide compost pickup for you or your department or your dorm. Anywhere you are and you want to compost,
Yep.
we offer the service to you.
We'll bring you a bucket.
We just need you to say, yes, I will be the overseer of the bucket in my department. I've been doing it in my building, Urban and Public Affairs, since I got there in 2009, because it's crazy that we're sending our organic waste to the landfill to make methane, one of the most powerful greenhouse gases, when we could be turning it into rich organic fertilizer, right? It's insane. We all do this every day, and yet it's insane. So I just put a bucket in our break room, and I've been emptying it into our compost bin at Urban and Public Affairs, which is right out back, every week since then. But you probably don't have a compost bin right out back your building. That's okay. We will come and pick it up for you every week or every other week, however often it needs to be filled. We just need you to say, yes, I will do this. I will manage the bucket, which means I will bring it outside once a week. That's literally it. Or if I'm in the building and I notice there's a lot of fruit flies or something, I will be in charge of taking care of it. So this service is available to you, and some departments have done that.
Philosophy's doing it.
Philosophy's doing it, right? We also want to offer this to our residents right here on campus in your dorm.
Yeah.
So we've been doing this pilot project to make dorm composting a reality on campus. We are following the lead of University of Kentucky, who started this, and we're just mirroring their system, where you say, yes, I want a bucket in my dorm room, and you'll get one. We'll give you not this full-size bucket, but a little like 1 gallon bucket. We've got 100 of them that I don't have a picture of them. We can give out. And then you're in charge of dumping it in the central bin in your dorm. So we did this in Betty Johnson Hall last summer, and we want to start it up again this year. We're targeting the Belknap villages, north and south. So we're going to make that available to those residents pretty soon. So that's one side of this system. This is a service available to you. The other side is what happens to all this great soil. Yes, maybe some people from the community come and take it and use it in their gardening. That's great. But we also grow new food on it here at campus. So you mentioned the gardens that are there, but again, you may never go there. So we have community gardens that you can interact with anytime. Right outside the Student Activities Center at the Baptist Center is our garden commons with 10 raised beds filled with this soil. That's what we're growing the new food in. We also have the Urban and Public Affairs garden behind Betty Johnson Hall. We're also growing new food. So that's how we connect to the campus. And we want this to not just serve the broader community, but U of L. We want it to serve U of L even better than it does. So we need partners in that from U of L. So I wanted to make that pitch. And then I also wanted to ask Brian, so this is an important service for people who don't have backyards and can't compost at home, right? So people who live in apartments or businesses or students in dorms. But a lot of people who have backyards are not composting. So let's take a minute and talk about what it's not going to look like this in your backyard, right? So what would it look like at home?
Oh, sure. Well, there are a lot of things you can do. One of the easiest things to do is to get 5 of these pallets, right? Just a shipping pallet. You can get it anywhere, right? And you make a box out of it. So there's a pallet on the bottom and you put 4 around the edges and you can screw them together or just zip tie them together, makes a box, right? And then you can put your compostables in that. Now you're going to have to take one of those sides off periodically of the box in order to get in there with a pitchfork or something and turn the material so that the oxygen goes all the way through it. But you could do that. You could make a box out of pallets. It's very, very common. There are various designs that you can use. You can use a bunch of pallets to make these boxes. You can put lids on them. All sorts of things you can do. You can also just have a pile on the ground. I mean, if it's your yard and you don't have a neighborhood association that cares about such things, right? I mean, some of them certainly do, but if you can do whatever you want in your yard, then just make a pile in your yard, right? And are you going to attract, various bugs and stuff like that? For sure. Does it mean you're going to have rats? No. If there are already rats next door, yes, right? I mean, if they're already in the neighborhood, they're already in the neighborhood, whatever, right? But all this is going to do is give you the opportunity to make the soil in your own yard, and then you just flip the pile, right? You go in there with a pitchfork and just turn it over. It doesn't need a box. It can just sit there as a pile, and anybody can do this. And you can go to a lot of these coffee shops around here and say, hey, can I get, some of your coffee bags? And they might charge you a nominal fee. They might just give them to you. Burlap is a great substance to cover these piles, to keep some of the flies off of them, to keep some of the moisture in, to have a dedicated area in your yard that other people don't go, right? Because it's covered in these bags or whatever. So that's useful as well. But yeah, those are I think the two easiest ways. Of course, you can always go buy a piece of equipment, right? I mean, a big plastic compost tumbler or something like that. I don't think they work very well. For me, they're very complicated. They don't touch the ground. The bacteria is already in the dirt. Bacteria you want's already in the dirt. And people were like, nothing's happening in this compost tumbler that's 3 feet off the ground. It's like, wow, it doesn't have any bacteria in it, right? You just threw the stuff in there and you're just waiting for it to do something. So you have to inoculate those things. You have to kind of manage the content in those things. There's a lot of sort of learning curve to those, and they are, I mean, they're not outrageously expensive, but it's money you could certainly put somewhere else. Better to put it on the ground. But if you want a long timeline and a lot of headache, and it's important to have compost, just not on the ground in some way or not in a box, that something like a compost turner or tumbler would be better than nothing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. You can do that. You want to make sure you have a way of getting it out. So if you're going to do with a hole, you want to dig an exit area where you're going to be able to get into that hole from the side and scoop the compost out, right? And you're also probably going to want to cover it in some way so people don't fall in the hole. I don't know. Might be any number of other reasons, but yeah, a hole works great. I mean, that's traditional stuff. And a lot of times these things are going to mound up. When you start off, if you were to dig a hole, you would want to have it larger than the hole, because compost loses a third of its volume as it turns into soil. So whatever you put out there, you lose a third. And then whatever you feed to the worms, you lose another third, right? So that process of shrinking will help. If you have something like a hole, it makes it a little more manageable.
I totally agree with what you said about the tumblers not being great. And I'm really sorry that that's what we ended up with at the original Garden Commons. For about a decade. We had tumblers that weren't attached to the ground. So I'm a big fan of just the square boxes that sit on soil. You'll see 2 of them at the Garden Commons, by the way, which I failed to mention. The place you can always drop off compostables. They'll end up here because those bins fill up too quick to compost right there. But what I do at home is I just have one of those boxes and fill it and harvest from the bottom. There's a little door at the bottom where you harvest from. So my wife and I don't even turn our compost and it works great. So
if you already have one.
Yep, they do the work for us.
Or the soldier fly larvae.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. If you want to get advanced, grow some black soldier flies in your yard, grow some red wigglers in your yard, get it ready for composting.
And of course, you can get those kind of compost bins from Home Depot or whatever, but the city also sells them at wholesale cost. They also sell rain barrels at wholesale.
Yep.
So it used to be just once a year, but now you can get them from the city anytime.
Absolutely. It's things to think about. The city is a good partner in all this stuff, although we should have municipal recycling or composting programs here, right? Which we don't. And that's one of the reasons that UofL's, programs around composting are so useful for the community, like Avery was saying when she was speaking earlier, right? I mean, there is a big hole here in terms of composting. And frankly, we only touch about 500 businesses and households with our program. Maybe another 100, it's hard to estimate, but maybe another 100 households show up throughout the week during the year to just drop off material or whatever. It might be a little bit more than that. So there's a lot of growth opportunity there, right? So if anybody is interested in talking about ways to expand composting, I hope that you'll reach out to me. If you see Avery on campus, I hope you'll tell her thanks for the work you're doing. This is dirty work that happens in all weather. The trash does not stop, so somebody's got to go handle it, right? And it's often very inconvenient. So we would love volunteers to come help us if you're looking for an outdoor medium level exercise activity that you can absolutely do at your own pace. Reach out to me. If you look for my name on the sustainability website, you'll also find my phone number. You can email me. You can do whatever you want to reach out and try to get your group. We get churches coming out to volunteer. We have youth groups come out and volunteer. The city sends groups out to volunteer. So we can certainly handle your group. Fraternities and sororities occasionally come out and volunteer. So guess that's it. Thank you all very much for the time. Please come back to our next EcoReps meeting, where we'll be talking about the donuts.
And donuts will be served?
And we will bring donuts for the occasion. Usually not a donut event, but I think we have sausages. Please eat some food before you go. Take some stuff with you. One of those platters looks like it would look great in your house. And I hope that you'll give it a new home. So feel free to come up here and look at the dirt before you go.